Welcome back to the Life of Tash Mia. Today I'm sitting down for a solo podcast that was requested by you on Instagram. And the one that won out was Kink and Romance. So let's go. When someone says kink and romance, you might think of 50 Shades. And I feel I need to always pretext that yes, 50 Shades has many things conceptually wrong with it. But at the end of the day, it's a love story, intertwined with kink, and it sold millions of copies, bringing some much needed light on a traditionally viewed dark space. Kink can enhance romantic relationships and improve intimate connections through their BDSM or kink practices. First and foremost, underpinning kink and BDSM is trust and communication. These are essential elements to creating a strong foundation for romantic relationships. To engage in kink activities requires a lot of trust in your partner. You are opening yourself up to be extremely vulnerable with someone else. You will explore each other's deeper selves, and this is a very bonding experience. Those partnerships who incorporate kink into their relationship also will have a much stronger ability to communicate, not just as an individual, but in their relationship as a whole. This is because they communicate way more than non-kink partnerships. Open communication about desires, boundaries, and consent can also deepen the romantic connection between partners. We need to implement transparent communication between partners to address any concerns related to engaging in kinky activities. Open dialogue ensures that everyone is on the same page and understands each other's needs and limits. Enthusiastic consent and establishing clear boundaries when engaging in kink ensures that both partners feel respected and empowered throughout their exploration. Exploring kink in a romantic relationship provides a really safe space to be vulnerable and intimate. In BDSM, we're exploring aspects of dominance and submission in a space that allows ourselves and our partners to explore desires and emotions in a safe and consensual manner. While exploring kink, we may often be confronted with issues in our romantic relationships. We may find parts of ourselves struggling with certain dynamics. For example, someone who might be in the submissive role might be micromanaging aspects of the scene before it's even started, like commenting on the lighting or the attire. This is often a sign the person is not truly submitting and taking on the dominance role and responsibilities. Digging deeper, it could be that the submissive feels they are constantly the decision maker in the romantic relationship or relationship as a whole, finding it difficult to let go of this during their kink practice. Of course, there could be other reasons happening, trust issues, maybe lack of negotiation, but let's take this example. We can learn a lot from what is happening. Firstly, the submissive is not truly submitting. Secondly, the submissive is stuck in habits from their non-kink life during play, so working on that mind connection would be very important for them. Thirdly, the submissive feels in their non-kink life they have too much decision and responsibility, and both partners should communicate and discuss the aspects of this on their relationship. So through their kink practice, a partnership can discover and uncover a lot of not just their kink life, but their relationship. Desires and fantasies are such an important part of ourselves, especially when it comes to our play life and also keeping desire in our long-term relationships. However, in non-kink relationships, there is a huge percentage of people who have never even approached the subject with their partners. A lot of people feel shame or embarrassment over their fantasies. When our partner responds to our fantasies with love, non-judgment, and support, you will be amazed what it does for your relationship. Kink provides a platform to explore each other's deepest fantasies and desires, leading to a deeper understanding of each other's needs and preferences. Engaging in our fantasies can really spice up a romantic relationship and keep the passion alive. Fantasies keep your sexuality alive in both your mind and body. When you share fantasies with your partner and talk about things that turn you on, you will not only improve your sex life, but you will build deeper levels of intimacy and connection. Oxytocin is released when we explore fantasies, which is not only a feel-good hormone, but also one that makes us feel connected to the person we are exploring with. Exploring a fantasy during play can also help you stay in the zone, rather than your mind wandering off to your ever-expanding chores list or work project. When your mind wanders, you can simply redirect it back to the fantasy and stay in the moment. Whether you have a sexy Superman fantasy or an outdoor sexual escapades, maybe a naughty student needing to be punished, fantasy can keep your relationship interesting and fresh. What I like to do with my partner is we have a playbook where we can write our desires and fantasies down. And when we are next discussing arranging a play or it's someone's turn to pick a fantasy, then we can turn to our book and explore and let the fun unwind. We build connection and bond when we engage in kink play. Looking at BDSM, activities like power exchange, bondage, sensory play, can help partners build a unique connection and bond. When we surrender to our vulnerabilities, when we take responsibility to lead, and these are very powerful things to share. We need to learn how to read our partner's body language, facial cues, and energetically connect with them. In my sessions with my regular clients, this is a very powerful part of interaction. I'm often able to tell where my client is by simply seeing a change in their body stiffness, maybe a change in their breathing, a disconnection with their gaze. You will learn your partner through another language, so to speak, and these shared experiences during kink can create lasting memories and strengthen the emotional bond between partners. Kink really allows for playfulness and intimacy to be explored and experienced together. You will find the infusion of moments of humor, affection, and connection all at the same time. People are often under the misconception that kink, particularly BDSM, is a very serious practice, but in reality, it's adults' version of a play date, where we can let our imaginations run wild, let go, and have fun with our partner. The emotional bond can really strengthen through these types of differing moments and sensations. We can see how kink and romance are a beautiful fit. However, it is also vital to discuss the importance of maintaining a balance between kink and romance in a relationship. Like with our individual sex drives, each person will have their own levels and needs when it comes to kink in the relationship. One person's needs or preference may be higher than the others. Let's face it, it's rare we will match exactly with someone else's drive and needs, and these also fluctuate depending on life phases and circumstances. So it is important not to just communicate about your actual kink life, but each of your needs against the balance between different aspects of the relationship. How to do this? Making sure you are having regular check-ins about how both the kink and non-kink aspects of the relationship is going, issues that may have arisen, and renegotiation may need to occur. You might decide on a monthly check-in on the 15th of every month, for example. I like to use the what we did well, what we didn't do too well, and what we are going to work on for next month. It's not done in an accusatory manner. It has to be from open communication and respect, but that ability to have and handle honesty even if you don't like to hear it. Honesty is an interesting concept in any relationship, but even more so in kink ones. I believe because kink relationships have higher degrees of communication and trust, there is greater opportunity for honesty. My partner and I have a policy of honesty at all costs, even if it hurts. To us, we can work through anything the other one tells us or does, but it needs to be based on a foundation of honesty. Some other challenges when incorporating kink into a romantic relationship is the delineation between kink life and non-kink life. There is no set rule. There's a spectrum from no kink at all to 24/7ers. So you need to discuss where you are on this spectrum. You need to discuss, is your kink life strictly during kink play? Are aspects incorporated into traditionally non-kink times? You might also decide to set particular regular times every week for your kink. For example, Tuesday play night. It might be having a certain room in which you play. It might be a certain object. For example, collaring is often a common signal of commencement in a BDSM scene. Or maybe a secret word to indicate to your partner it is playtime. These are all rituals and protocols you can implement to help define and carve out your kink play from the rest of your relationship. Planning may not seem spontaneous and sexy, but I guarantee the effort and result will be much better playtimes and experiences. You will also need to schedule in aftercare and enough time and space to discuss both your kink life and your romantic relationship. You also need to think about how these rituals integrate or don't integrate with your everyday relationship. For example, certain terms of address during play, like my little pet, may be a term of endearment during play, but find in everyday life, they may find it demeaning and infuriating. These are things you need to bring into your boundaries and limits chat. Yes, non-kink time needs to be considered in your kink negotiation when in a romantic relationship with your play partner. Kinky living often means we have a much higher chance of variety and change in our relationship. However, sometimes people can assume what their partner is into today will remain. I have seen couples who originally started out with one person in the dominant role and the other in the submissive. One of the partners has gone and done a lot of self-work and come back wanting to explore a different end of the power dynamic. This can be difficult for the other partner to accept because they may feel this isn't what they signed up for. Sometimes we can work through these challenges through open and honest communication and maybe a bit of compromise. And sometimes it may mean a reevaluation of the relationship, or at least the form in which it exists. It doesn't mean it has to end. It might mean the partner's introducing other play partners to meet their other needs. It might mean taking turns of the roles they play. Realize that as we change and grow as humans in our lives, so do we in our kink lives, and they are often intrinsically related. Establishing a framework for how you will navigate challenges and conflicts that will arise in a kink relationship is also very important. Things such as miscommunications, disagreements, or breaches of boundaries. Because we are working in the realms of high trust and vulnerability, it is vital you have effective conflict resolution strategies that address any issues promptly, respectfully, and constructively to maintain the integrity of the relationship. I find it is important to remember intent. Mistakes will happen. Boundaries will be crossed. And it is crucial to ask yourself, especially if on the receiving end, what was the intent of my partner? More often than not, you will realize their intent was not to hurt you. I would question the relationship as a whole if it was, but an unintentional accident is often what's happened. You may want to seek guidance from a therapist or counselor or coach who specializes in kink to navigate any challenges or conflicts that may arise while integrating kink into your relationship or deal with ongoing kink relationships. We also need to be aware of overcoming stigmas and misconceptions in the BDSM and kink context of romantic relationships. Challenge stereotypes and discuss how these can be harmful and misleading. A common stereotype is all BDSM relationships are abusive. However, there is no supporting evidence of this stereotype, and the data shows there is no increase of spousal abuse in kink relationships. I would argue there's probably less. We can also look to take the opportunity to educate others. I always say people fear what they do not know, and it has been said by psychologists in the kink space that where kink is currently is where the LGBTQI+ community was 20 years ago. Offer insights and accurate information about the consensual nature of kink dynamics, the importance of communication and boundaries, and the mutually fulfilling aspects of power exchange in romantic relationships. share personal experiences or expert perspectives to provide a nuanced understanding. Promote acceptance. Discuss the importance of respecting diverse forms of sexual expression and relationships, including those involving kink and BDSM. Encourage listeners to embrace a non-judgmental attitude and cultivate empathy towards individuals who engage in alternative practices. Foster dialogue. Suggest ways to engage in constructive conversations with friends, families, or the broader community to dispel myths and promote a more inclusive and informed view of kink and BDSM. Enhance the value of listening to others' perspectives and sharing knowledge responsibly. Advocating for consent culture. There is so much the non-kink world can learn from the kink world. One of the top things, in my opinion, is the fundamental role of enthusiastic consent in all types of relationships, kink or non-kink. The importance of mutual respect, negotiation, and ongoing communication to ensure that all parties feel safe and empowered in their interactions. So there's a lot to be explored and discussed when it comes to kink in your romantic relationships. However, as you can see, there are enormous advantages when your relationship is practiced consensually and ethically. I hope you've enjoyed today's solo ep, and as always, stay kinky.